mean, on one hand, this is going to go quickly. On the other hand, we're committing to a feature-length film of just Panzer Dragoon.
Well, I've watched worse.
I mean, I did suggest breaking this up per episode, and you literally said, no, don't do that, just put it in one video and be done with it, so...
I mean, you probably could have gotten away with, like, maybe doing 2 episodes.
He is doing 2 episodes. We've got the main one and the bonus.
Oh, fuck off. You know what I meant.
Yes, I did.
But, you know, but like FP said, worst case scenario, we just degenerate into Ace Combat commentary halfway through.
It'll be fine. I haven't seen any of this game before, so I can, like, think of questions on the fly, and we'll see. And if we deviate, we deviate, whatever. Enjoy the time, and...
Yeah. Also, you say degenerating into Ace Combat commentary like it's a bad thing, when really, those are some of my best videos when they just go completely off the rails.
Yeah.
But that's not possible, bro. We can't go off the rails.
Oh,
shit.
God damn it.
You're right.
Hello, and welcome to effectively a record skip in time. Yes, I'm re-LPing not just Panzer Dragoon, but the remake of Panzer Dragoon.
It's a remake LP of the remake that you're LPing. I lost this one. Never mind. Start up.
No, we are not ditching all of this wonderful commentary that we have accumulated so far.
Yeah, that's right. All 3 minutes of it are solid fucking gold, baby.
This is what you asked for.
So anyways, yes, on that note, this is the remake of Panzer Dragoon, which was released last year in 2020, that beautifully shitty-ass year of a year, by Megapixel Studios and Forever Entertainment, and there's a third publisher there that I literally do not know, but anyways, that is unimportant. This is a remake of Team Andromeda, a Sega Sub-Studios original rail shooter, Panzer Dragoon, originally released for the Sega Saturn, later ported to a whole fuck ton of consoles, including like PC, PlayStation 2, and it even got a stealth port as an unlockable like extra feature in Panzer Dragoon Orta for the Xbox, the original Xbox anyway. So joining me, I've got 2 wonderful chuckle fucks. Please feel free to introduce yourselves.
No. I'm FPzero.
I'm Artix. I have played this game.
I have never played anything of this.
I paid $6 for it, and that felt about right.
And I paid $20 for it, and to me that felt about right, so you effectively have the full spectrum of our opinions here on this going forward, and, well, we'll see how it turns out, I suppose.
Oh, come on.
Which one of us is...
You're not gonna play on hard? Can't believe you're cutting us out of the secret final boss fight.
Oh, that's coming in the bonus video, don't worry.
Because yes, this game does that. Don't you just love games of this age that are like, yup, nope, sorry, you don't get to finish the game. Why don't you play it again on a harder difficulty?
And collect the 7 Chaos Emeralds this time.
Oh god, yeah, well, even in, like, the original Sega Saturn version, if you played on easy, when you got to the end of episode 4, it literally cut the game off as, like, play on normal, asshole.
Anyway,
and
yeah,
also,
check out this sweet fucking lore.
Oh yeah, there is a lot of lore to this game.
I forgot how to read.
That's okay.
You're going to have to spoon-feed this to me.
Yeah. Literally none of this matters. Like,
okay.
There are...
Correction. Literally none of this matters until you get to Panzer Dragoon Saga. Then suddenly all of it matters. So basically, the long and short of it was there was this hyper-advanced human civilization that existed like thousands and thousands of years ago, and in their brilliance, they decided, yeah, we're just gonna let an AI run everything, including like the literal climate control system for the entire planet, and the AI, which is named Sestrin, went fucking insane one day and killed everyone. So now we're living basically thousands of years later in the ruins of that society.
Now I understand why you confused this game with Drakengard, Artix, earlier before we started recording. Because what the fuck setting is that? Are we playing Nier again?
No.
Not Nier.
Nier would be much more interesting than this.
That's true.
Yeah. No,
Soon.
This game...
This game would be like a side story that we do halfway through Nier before we, inevitably turn back into like a fucking like Diablo top-down grinder.
But yeah, no, not Nier, but this game wants to be Dune super fucking hard, and you're gonna see that in various places across the game. Like, again, starting out here basically in a desert setting, and like I said, it's gonna get worse and worse and worse the further we go into it. And also, like Dune, basically, like, the rest of the story is told in supplementary entries to its series.
So yeah, I hope you like this cutscene, because it, yeah, I don't know what relevance this has to anything in the game.
Yeah, but check out that cool crab lobster thing that was doing what it's doing, running away.
Again, yeah, this was all just in the Saturn version, just effectively just showing off, okay, look what we can do with a cutscene engine for, like, effectively the first time ever in video games. And also establishing a lot of just, like, visual storytelling about, like, because, like, this is the first time that, like, anyone had ever, like, encountered, like, this world. Like, the sequels didn't exist, so it was going, like, okay, like, look at all these biomechanical horrors here that you're going to be facing eventually, and that probably have something to do with the downfall of humanity that we talked about in the text dump.
So, okay, so I'm gonna ask a very disingenuous question from the beginning. Is this game...
Okay.
Is this game good/fondly remembered because of whatever achievement it made at the time?
Yes and no. Like, it's
I
like,
guess
really,
it's like, is it actually good, or is it just remembered because of what it represented at the time? Like, a product of its time type of game. I mean, I'll see, obviously. We're here for the whole thing. We're here for the next hour. But I'm just kind of thinking ahead and being like,
Well, I'll say this basically, like, it didn't get a remake because people hated it, so, like, there is a lot of diehard fans for it out there, but, like, it's one of those things where, like, it was good for its time, and people have a lot of nostalgia for it, and, like, what it was trying to do and what it represented, like, back in its time, and also off of the, like, again, the accrued goodwill of, like, its sequels, like Panzer Dragoon Y and Saga and Orta. So, like, it basically, like, it's kind of it's a starting point for something that gets really, really good at its height, but, yeah, just as is, like, the flaws are incredibly very apparent, like, when you go back and you look at it in comparison to, like, okay, like, here's what it eventually became. Like, I'm a very big apologist for this game, but, like, I will make no bones about it. Yeah, this is very sparse, very bare bones, and the remake effectively kind of did nothing really
what an
to...
excellent explosion. I'm sorry, hold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
It was like a blooming flower.
Oh yeah, this
An
game has
artisanal
some...
explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game has some capital C cutscenes. They're few and far between, but
Yeah,
like I said,
things are certainly happening here, but
yeah, like I said in the OP, basically, like, it replaced like all the mid-90s jank in the remake with just weird like 2020s jank for no reason. Like, I mean, it's a valiant effort, and MegaPixel did like a, you know, fairly decent job with it. But, you know, in my opinion, it could have been a lot better.
yeah, like I feel like I could do with understanding even a little bit of what's going on, kinda, from this opening cutscene. Like, I feel like I'm playing fucking I Divine Cybermancy right now, and oof. I did actually play and beat that at one point with my brother. I know Artix, we, and a few others tried to get that to work in multiplayer, but well, weird old French source engine games in multiplayer.
Well, again, this is half, again, like, limitations of the time, and also partly stylistic choice as well, because, like, again, like, I say this game is based a lot on Dune, it's also simultaneously based on literally a silent comic by the French artist Mobius called Arzac, which is just guy flying around on a dragon pterodactyl thing, no dialogue whatsoever, and you have to infer everything through action.
Well, at the very least, like, this last bit with the guy dying and passing on information and the ownership of the dragon, like, that I can understand. Okay, we finally got it. It was the establishment that, like, I guess in another game, the first level would be you get to that point and then you have a cutscene, but here we've gotten the whole thing, but they also showed the whole first level in the cutscene, so to speak. So it's like, it was a lot of, well, here's all the setting, but, and then now now it's game, and I guess we're doing something. Anyway,
yeah,
feel free to explain the game.
Okay, yeah, and basically, like you said, like, they do eventually, like, get around to doing stuff like that, like, in, like, the sequels, like Panzer Dragoon Y and Panzer Dragoon Orta. Like, Saga, I mean, they each have that segment of, okay, here is, like, actual playable story segments before you even get the goddamn dragon. That sets things up a lot better. So, again, it's just part to the original Panzer Dragoon, like, kind of being more a tech demo and just feeling out, okay, what the fuck can the Saturn do, because this thing was a launch title back then.
Yeah, like, that is fair.
This game is very pretty. I will give them that. The remake did a lot of work on the visual front.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in the original version, basically, like, it's literally just, okay, here's a couple of towers sticking out of the water, and then just, it's nothing but just a blank field that you're in for a lot of it.
This is on, what is this running on?
This is running on PC.
Okay. Because I remember it was also announced for Switch, but I didn't know if this was PC or Switch. I assumed it wasn't Switch because it looked a little more clear than Switch would normally probably appear.
Yeah, this is running on, like, a PC at full graphics settings, basically, but,
okay.
Yeah, it started originally on the Switch and then was ported to PC, but I think, like, it took, like a couple months either for it to like, either get the port finalized or for it to become, like, I think it was, like, an Epic Games exclusive originally, and then, like, it came to Steam months later.
Yeah, the Switch version took a while to get running well. Like, it took a couple months of patches before it was even kind of, I don't want to say acceptable, but it was really rough at launch, from what I remember the reviews saying.
Oh god, yeah, like, even just, like, the animation, like, the dragon flies pretty smoothly right now, but, like, in the original, like, unpatched version of it, like, it was just, like, bouncing up and down, like, going across, like, half the screen, and, like, you weren't even, like, moving the controller, and... Yeah, so, like, this is, like, probably the game plus about half a year's worth of work trying to just, like Artix said, just, like, patching it and getting it working properly.
Well, that's
so, like,
good.
it's putting us close to its best foot forward now, but, if I was playing this on the unpatched version, like, it would just be an absolute nightmare.
Okay, well, mechanically, I wanted to ask, like, obviously I can see that you can lock onto more things at once. What does that mechanically have? Is there a reason to lock onto a lot of things before firing?
It's mainly just to try and clear the screen of enemies as quickly as you can.
Okay.
Because, like, you see, like, you do have, like, if you just, like, tap the button, like, once, it'll fire off, like, a blast from the rider's, like, his name's Kyle, anyway, like, his like, regular blaster, the thing he gets from, the guy who died in the opening cutscene, like here, that's just me, like, just mashing the fire button, and then holding down the fire button will let you lock on, and, I think in the original game, like, you had up to, like, 14 lock-ons, but I don't know if they changed that for the remake or not. But it's basically a matter of just, like, holding down the lock-on and just trying to get as many lock-ons as you can before releasing it, and, like...
Yeah, like, I was trying to figure out if there was some sort of, like, score or combo or whatever, but obviously there's no score system up, so I was trying to figure out incentive to do so.
Well, there is a score system, but it's not really told to you until after you finish a stage.
Yeah, like, you're scored based on accuracy more than anything, because, like, aside from, like, boss battles, like, there's no real time limit or anything, or, like, par times or whatever, because, like, all the stages, like, will always take the exact same amount of time, no matter how many times you run them. It's just how long it takes you to beat the boss, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Also, one unstated bit of jank that I think Crow is doing a remarkable job working around is that when you turn the camera, you no longer have the ability to actually move. The control stick just moves where you aim.
Huh.
Yeah, like, basically when you're only facing forward, you have the ability to maneuver the dragon, but, like, once you flip to, like, side saddle or, like, flipping back around from behind, like, yeah, your mobility is just completely gone, so it's like, you better be, like, really, really...
Positioned, like, before changing your camera?
Yeah, or at the very least, like, on the ball with, like, either the lock-ons or, like, the single-shot blaster to take care of incoming enemy fire, because, oh yeah, you can very easily lock yourself into getting absolutely fucked by incoming enemy projectiles, if you, change views and you're not, prepared for it.
Huh.
But anyways, there goes the Imperial airship miserable failure. That was the one that we saw in the opening cutscene, by the way.
I already have forgotten everything that was in that opening cutscene, to be honest. I didn't even know there was an airship.
I vaguely remember it.
To be fair, the game was more or less forgotten as well, so you're not alone.
Ah, good.
Oh, yeah, the game gives out extra lives like fucking candy, by the way. I think by the first time I actually, like, legit needed one, I had, like, 15.
And again, I think the original was a tiny bit more stingy with them, but then again, the original was also, like, somewhat harder, at least in my childhood memory of it, at least.
So, they said that, like, technology's dead and stuff, but this is obviously not. So these are some bad guys, I guess?
Yeah, so that's the Empire. So these are, like, the world was basically broken into, like, a bunch of, like, little tiny bandit kingdoms, and, like, these guys became the biggest by not only excavating, like, tech from the ancient world, but also, like, adding their own mechanical advances on top of it. Like, you saw there they had, like, the smooth, like, same type of technology that you saw in, like...
Sandworm.
Yeah, okay, now, here is Dune.
I was gonna say, yeah, so I heard you like Dune.
Yeah, walk without rhythm and it won't attract the worm. So yeah, this is basically, yeah, where the game rips the mask off and goes, yeah, no, we want to be Frank Herbert super hard.
So what part of the game becomes a real-time strategy?
Oh god, well...
Look, I was
Maybe...
taking photos of a loose copy of Dune 2000 earlier today for work. It's fresh on my mind.
But anyways, yeah, just going back like really quickly to like the Empire, as poorly explained as it is in the game. Like, so yeah, like you saw, they have that kind of the mix of like ancient world technology with like the weird smooth things that are keeping their airships in flight, but you can also see like they're literally like tied down to like very like rudimentary like simple hull styles, like in some cases like with actual rope. So like I said, there is this really neat like visual storytelling and world building setup, but it's one of those things that like
this is ancient technology that's managing to lift our stuff up, but we don't have the ability to make actual like ship parts that match it in scope and grandeur. So we have to make do with what we can. Because like the airship in the last one, I did notice one looked like a normal ass, like a galleon type thing, with some sort of weird mechanical, you know, it almost looks like an airship, but it's clearly not made of fabric or something.
Yeah, and it's also a matter of, okay, like, this technology is basically like a black box to everyone, so like they can't really replicate it, so they're just living off of whatever they can scrounge up from like these ruins and shit.
So it's all Damascus steel.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's not so much an airship as a ship that has been attached to a thing that flies.
Yeah.
And this also, by the way, effectively kicks the plot off, because that tower at the start of the game, the one that starts screaming at everyone, like, that tower is like kind of like off the coast of what's now the Imperial capital, and they've been like researching it, trying to like figure out its secrets to get like more technology out of it and more advances, and in doing so they accidentally woke up Sestron, the AI that went insane and killed everyone.
I mean, you say accidentally, but frankly it sounds like the Empire would consider that a feature, not a bug.
Oh god, they totally would.
It's like, oh shit, we got all this new technology and a murderous AI? Well, that's just good value.
I also feel like a real shitbag every time I kill those little baby worms, because there's literally nothing they can do to hurt you.
Well, I was noticing, like, in the cave earlier, your guy literally stopped in his tracks to let a bunch of worms jump at him, so it's like, you could have avoided this. By not
But you gotta get that kill rate up. We can't leave unless we've murdered 100% of the enemies in this level.
What does murdering 100% of the enemies in this level even do for you, though? Is it another credit?
I think it gives you 2 lives instead of 1.
Yeah, and it also gives you a better title at the end of the game.
Ah.
Anyway, here's our first fight with the actual antagonist of this game. And spoilers, he's kind of a piece of shit. Like, I think I kind of, like, worked the Dark Dragon over before it even finishes its attack cycle.
Gotta watch out for those air blasts and the tornadoes.
I think the tornadoes are just set dressing.
Yeah, no, I've never been hurt by them.
Like, I genuinely think, like, really, the only thing that he has that's even remotely dangerous is the horizontal lasers.
Is this you trying to give him a window to show off a little bit?
Am I that transparent? I was like, oh, okay, he's got his own lock-on that he does every once in a while, so I should at least just, like, let him fire that off once before I kill him. Because that's literally, like, the end of the attack pattern. Basically, like, he goes, okay, just shoots the wave energy off at you, takes some pot shots with his drone rider's own, like, a single-shot blaster, and then just the big flying eggs of doom, basically.
Crow, you missed.
Yeah, that was the stupid parasite things that, like, fly at you and kamikaze themselves across your dragon.
It seems a bit odd to give the player additional 1-ups for completing 100%, because if you can complete the 100%, you probably don't need them.
Yeah, look, gameplay logic is not this game's strong suit sometimes. Also, there's a cheat code, by the way, that you can enter that gives you unlimited continues as well, so... They're trying to be very generous to you, I suppose.
I suppose so. But, and maybe this is because you've, played the game a lot, it doesn't look particularly difficult so far.
It's not.
No.
The first big spike is chapter 4, and then like I said, it does get harder, but the first thing that even approximates difficulty is probably next chapter.
Yeah.
Like, is there any downside to holding your laser?
Yeah, eventually you will reach your lock-on limit, and then, like, you're just effectively just holding your fire like an idiot while, stuff comes at you that you could have otherwise, like, avoided or taken out with the single-shot blaster. Like those ones, the big yellow energy balls that the airship fired at us, those ones, like, you have to avoid, you can't shoot them down.
Alright, well, I'm gonna make what's gonna sound like an odd comparison, but a lot of this reminds me of Sonic Adventure 2, because the mech segments in the games, the ones where Tails and Robotnik, where you play as them, have this same kind of paint with a laser, release to fire, or paint with a targeting laser and then release to fire blasts at enemies, kind of thing. However, in that one you can't hold it down forever. And then additionally you have a score combo thing that you're trying to build with it by locking onto more guys in one painting, essentially. So that's where I was kind of like, so, does it benefit you to get more at one time? Does it, is there a downside to it? Because I'm thinking from that perspective. Just like in that, you can't just do it, you paint forever. You have to actually, like, choose when and how to do it and try to get as many guys in for the most score as possible.
And that actually, like, does sound like it really tracks, because it would not surprise me if some of the folks from Team Andromeda went on to do that segment for like Sonic Adventure.
I mean, yeah, you're right. That of course, they're both Sega games. That didn't,
Yeah. And also, like, it, like, in its time, like, it kind of just, like, came and went, like, with sort of very little fanfare, but, like, inside the gaming industry, like, what Panzer Dragoon did, like, really did have a lot of influence on a lot of people who went on to do other stuff, so, like, you will see elements of, like, its core gameplay, like, again, cropping up on other games, like Sonic Adventure, or Sonic Adventure 2, I suppose.
Yeah, like that, I guess that's kind of where I was at earlier. I'm saying, like, it may not be fair to judge in all ways, like, the disingenuous question, as I called it. Like, this is an old game. This is what year was it? 90... What was the Saturn? 95?
94?
Yeah, 94, I think, yeah.
This was 1994. I don't remember rail shooters being huge yet.
I mean, the immediate point of comparison at that point would have been Star Fox. Star Fox and Space Harrier.
Yeah. And Star Fox didn't look like this. I mean, what we're... like, the biggest thing I can compare this to would be Star Fox 64. Because...
yeah, like...
the original Star Fox is yes, it's a point of comparison, but it's not exactly... it's very primitive in comparison, even to this.
Oh god, yeah, like, yeah, just even, like, the original Panzer Dragoon, like, kind of blew Star Fox out of the water in terms of, like, just, you know, how it looked, how it sounded, how it played, like, how it presented itself. Like, yeah, like, you said, the better comparison at this point would have been Star Fox 64, which
in a couple
came out
of
a couple years later. Yeah.
Because it's got the very kind of same, you know, you go through the level, shoot the things down, and then you get to the boss. Though in Star Fox, in keeping with questions about like goals and like skill challenges, essentially, you have the hits and the combo system in 64 to deal with. But so yeah, a part of me feels like some comparison is like not really totally fair, or just to look at it and be like, oh, it shows its age. I don't see it. Feels like it needs more mechanics. It's like this was kind of I guess a pioneer of this on console. So there is some level of like, yeah, just it's not going to be what I expect of it because it was one of the first.
And also, like, just like going back and like thinking about it, like in its time, like, you know, this was like for the most part the console seller for the Saturn. It was a launch title, but it was also like one of the most readily available games for the Saturn, like, period, after a while. So like it basically, like, if like anyone who owned a Sega Saturn, like, they owned Panzer Dragoon as well. So but yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like you were kind of saying, just like this is one of the games that kind of plowed the frontier in terms of like what this genre could do. Like, you know, it didn't really go very far ultimately as a genre, but you know, it was kind of like one of the first, and it also did it in a way that like was a lot more artistic, I suppose, than you know, like what its competitors or what its contemporaries were also doing at the time. So
yeah, and like the other thing is I need to remember, like, this is a remake of the game, because I'm also thinking about it from like 2021 sensibilities in like what you expect out of like games and skill challenge and that sort of thing. And it's just like it's gonna remain simple because the original game was simple. Like, if they were to sit here, now maybe if they had an extra mode, let's say, that added some sort of thing, but like this is being faithful to, well, some might say to a fault, but this, I guess it's okay to have this sort of thing. Like, even Star Fox 64 only takes like an hour. If you know what you're doing, it takes an hour to play that game from start to finish, or less.
Because like the counter example to that, like, again, sticking with Star Fox, is like Star Fox Zero. Like, Star Fox Zero is a remake of Star Fox 64 with a bunch of modern features to it, and it was an absolute disaster. So
I feel like a better point of comparison might be Star Fox 2. Not that it was ever, you know, actually officially released until the SNES Classic, but...
Well, what's going on here?
Oh, so this is the alternate run of the final segment. So, depending on what areas of the boss you damage during, like, the second phase of the fight, like, either the top half of it or the bottom half will just drop off and die. So, the first run was the jumper half. We fought that at the very end of it. So now this is the alternate run where I like focus more on So this is the only boss I think that does this. So so because I took out the bottom half, now we have to fight the ceiling fan version of it.
That's a bit of a missed opportunity to only do it for one. Like, that's kind of an interesting. That's an interesting mechanic. Like, yeah, I guess it did show two things forming at the start, but I didn't realize that it was dependent upon how you're attacking. Like, that's actually pretty interesting for like a rail shooter type game like this. I don't even think Star Fox does that. I know it's just readily available comparison.
I was gonna say, it's hard not to compare it to Star Fox.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, this and the episode 4 boss coming up immediately afterwards are the ones that do rather interesting things with it. Also, watch this fucking janky-ass animation.
Nice spin.
Well, again, that's because like you kind of saw like the intended version of it when we took out the like in the first run where like it's supposed to go up in the air, spin around, and then explode. Whereas if you take it out second, then like it has no altitude to pull off that animation, so it just does it on the ground instead.
99%.
So close.
Oh.
So, anyways, just a brief bit of viewer discretion. For some reason, for the episode 4 segment, like it's set in a very dark tunnel area, and MegaPixel Studio decided to like crank it up with a lot of like very intense bloom lighting and very like quick flashing like red and blue lights. So if you have photosensitivity, maybe skip this one. I've kind of tried my best to mitigate a lot of that by like cranking the visual features down to their lowest, but even that you'll still see like when I played this one originally like at full blast, like even I was like, oh my god, my eyes, they fucking hurt.
Yeah, I can see how it's the shots, your shots traveling down this hallway, that's too much light source on the shot. Illuminating.
And like, I'll show off like kind of very briefly in like the bonus video, like what this place kind of looks like at full blast, but oh yeah, no, they kind of went overboard on it, like, and even like cranked down to minimum. Like you said, it's still way too intense for some reason.
I've noticed with a lot of games, more recent stuff, they kind of... A lot of games attach light sources to things that naturally would have a light source, like an energy blast or whatever, but don't necessarily consider, like, that sort of thing. Like, okay, it makes sense your shots are gonna have a light blast, but... in the moment, is it absolutely important that the player sees the light blast on every shot that you fire, especially in like a rail shooter? You're gonna be firing constantly.
And like, you can also see like all these little tiny point lights around, like on the floor and the ceiling and the walls. Like, those all had like bloom attached to them in like the full quality lighting version too. So
okay, yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
also,
I'm kind of glad I played the Switch version now, because that sounds like a lot, and I don't remember having those issues at all. I don't know if it's just like automatically toned down for that version or what, but
I would assume so. Or you probably have a lot more like freedom with the controls and like the settings on the PC version as well.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because like it like I said, this is like one of those levels where like I'm a little sad they kind of ruined it, for lack of a better term, because like this was one of my favorite levels in the original game, and like I said, they just put this like weird blue glow on all of it, and like it yeah, sure, it kind of sells the atmosphere a lot better. Like this is like some like weird hyper advanced place where like all of this like ancient tech is still horrifyingly still functioning.
I mean, the problem though is that, as noted, they have done, like, we didn't even have a cutscene before we came in here, so where is this? We
went into a cave at the end of 3, and that was it.
We went into a cave, and then now we're in this, and it's like
all I know. I'm sorry, go on.
It's just really disjointed.
Yeah, well, the implied storytelling is just like, episode 3 was just the dig sites surrounding this tunnel, and then like this tunnel is where the Empire has been kind of digging through and trying to like mine it for secrets, and like this is like, again, like effectively just like a massive like computer processing tunnel for Sestrin, the evil AI that's ruining everything. So
yeah, I feel like they could have done at least like, even if they weren't going to do full cutscenes like earlier, like just some quick... Also, yeah, I see something bad.
Here's our boss for the level.
Yeah, like just some sort of quick, like, even like 2 sentences on what we're doing and why between missions. Or hell, do these levels even have... do these levels have level names?
Nope, they're just called episodes.
So, like, even a level name would give you an idea of what you're doing and why.
Also, like, I don't want to, like, bring up, like, the all there in the manual kind of trope, but,
Well,
like,
yeah.
unfortunately, like, I've lost the game manual for the original Panzer Dragoon, so I can't go back and tell you, okay, like, yeah, it explains everything that's going on, because, like, I know, like, a lot of Sega games, like, in the 90s did that, like...
It was the 90s. The 90s still had a lot of info printed in manuals.
Like, hell, the whole fucking story to, like, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, like, it is just literally in the manual that came with it.
Mm-hmm. However, this is one of those cases where I think you can take a liberty with a remake, and it's not a bad thing. You know? That's kind of the... I think that's why, like, I haven't played it, so a lot of this is going to just kind of come from what I've, like, seen people talking about. But, like, the Blue Point remake of Demon's Souls on PS5 is...
Oh, yeah.
undeniably faithful, but that's not necessarily good, like, the best way it could have been handled, because there's a lot of problems with Demon's Souls that people thought, hey, maybe they'll iron these out, you know, maybe they'll make them a little less weird or wonky, but that's not the case. It's Demon's Souls, but very pretty now. And it comes with all the good and all the bad.
And that's basically what Panzer Dragoon Remake is as well. Like, it's Panzer Dragoon, but pretty now, with all the good and all the bad still intact. But anyways, the gimmick for this boss, as you might have really seen really quickly now that it's dead, this boss is immune to lock-ons, so this is where you need to use your blaster, finally. So you gotta blow up both of its arms, and then finally, once it's down to its head and its main body, then you can finally lock onto it and kill the damn thing. So like I said, they did do, like, certain interesting things with a couple of bosses. Also, you can see here, I don't know if this is just the skybox or anything, but apparently the Panzer Dragoon world has two suns.
I believe it.
I mean, like, Panzer Dragoon's Y also reveals that it has two moons, too, so... People originally thought this game was set on Mars, by the way. I'm not making that one up.
Well, if in the promotional material it only shows, like, the deserts and orange skies, so, yeah, I could believe why they would. If you're just rejoining us after the photosensitivity warning because you skipped over the last video, or not video, the last episode, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back.
We are now in a forest.
So yeah, this was the level I think that drove Artix insane, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, insane is a strong word, because, like, I mean, I still only died, like, 2 or 3 times. Like, this game is not that hard. But yeah, this level is a notable step up from the previous couple.
Yeah, this is where, like, especially in the original game, this is where it leans, like, super hard into bullet hell mode. Like, I think, like, the largest number of enemies, like, per level shows up in Episode 5, and also just the largest number of, like, capital ship enemies, or, like, mini-bosses also show up here, too, so...
Out of how many levels?
There's 7, technically. There's, 6 main episodes, and then there's, the final boss, which is just called Last Episode.
Okay.
So we're effectively over halfway done the game now.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, how far we were to get a good idea of, like, expectations on difficulty. So yeah, if we're over halfway, then I guess that makes sense.
Like, yeah, like the cutscene that, like, ends episode 4 of, like the dragon just flying out of the like the white tunnel and just coming out to the forest area here, like, that is literally where the original version on easy mode just throws up a black screen and goes, want to see the rest of the story? Continue on, like, normal difficulty, basically. Although, I have gone back and double-checked, and the remake thankfully does not pull this dick move. It lets you finish the game on easy if you want to.
This goes back to visuals and stuff, and modern upgrades and, you know, doing more than maybe was necessary. I'm noticing that it seems very hard to spot your enemy shots.
It is.
And I don't know
This
if it
level,
was easy.
at this level especially, it really is.
I don't know if it was easier in the original, but
In episode 5, oh, definitely no. Like, I remember recording the original LP that I did, like, back in 2014 with Blind Sally and Travelogue, and just, this was the one that, like, it drove me insane trying to record it on the Saturn, just because it is that much of a bullet hell nightmare. Like I said to Artix, like, over Discord as we were kind of talking about the game as he was playing through it, like, this is the level where, like, you almost, like, need to play it multiple times and, like, memorize every enemy spawn position just in order to try and survive it sometimes.
yeah, because, like, I'm noticing a lot of enemy shots are these yellow shots, but some of them are even thinner than, like, the ones that are hitting us now. And again, they're backdropped against a very light blue / like pale yellow gradient of sky. And then even when they're not, you're still seeing them on like a bright yellow-green treetop. So like the shots themselves don't stand out enough.
Yeah,
like from this angle they could, because you're looking at a dark grayish bluish rock canyon wall. But in any other direction, basically.
And again, this is where, like, one of those areas where the original is, like, the superior product in a lot of ways, because in terms of, like, color balance, like, the remake is, like, weirdly oversaturated and over-contrasted. Like, you could very easily, like, in the remake, or in the original, I should say, like, you could tell where everything was coming from, and where everything was coming at you. It was just a matter of being able to either dodge it or shoot it down before it hit you.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the remake with its weird color issues definitely makes things a lot harder in that respect.
I mean, I don't know if I would call it weird color issues, but it's just like one easy way they could do something here is to change like the yellow shots to be orange even. Though then maybe the concern would be that it would blend with your reticle, though they already blend with the reticle considering it's yellow-orange. Or like change the shots to be red in this instance. I mean, you could do it per level. I don't think it's too much to ask that, it's not going to be like, I don't think most players are going to suddenly like go from seeing like yellow shots in a previous level to seeing red shots in this one and being like, oh, those are friendly.
Yeah,
like I think last level had blue shots coming at you, so like there's already a precedent for it. It's just a matter of like, what does a player need to know? What does a player need to be able to react to immediately? And I think in that case, a different color shot to make it completely stand out, or hell, do red shots across the whole game, because red is very universally danger. Just, I don't, these are the things that the game designer in me, who never designs games, just thinks about, especially because I think often about like color theory and such.
Because like, I know that there is an alternate reticle that you can use in the settings, and like I think they call it like classic mode, where it's like more in line with how the reticle appeared in like the Sega Saturn game, like because it was like blue in the original version, and I think that the squares were a lot tighter together. Like you can sort of see like a bit of like, you have that mild amount of depth perception with like when you move the reticle like left and right across the screen as to where your shots are gonna go.
Actually, I think that the reticle is pretty good. This one's pretty good overall. I like the depth perception going on with it. It's not really a complaint against the reticle itself as much as just the enemy shots more than anything else. The clarity of the player needing to know what to avoid at any given moment. What a strange ship.
Oh god, yeah. Again,
the trees flying into the...
And again, like, this is another area where, like, the original did it a lot better, because, like, when that thing dies in the original, like, it just cartwheels across the forest. And it looks hilarious and amazing at the same time, whereas just in the remake, it just kind of just flops down and dies.
Hey, another cutscene.
So yeah, this is the "oh no, my hubris" cutscene.
Deploy the water spiders. You know, it occurs to me, I don't even understand why we're doing what we're doing. Like, I guess these guys bad, but the world was already pretty bad, so how much worse could they have made it?
Well, like, the dragon is literally, if it gets to the tower, going to wipe out what's left of humanity, so, you know, it's kind of the, like, the decision between, okay, like, continuing to live in a really shit-ass world or just fucking dying completely.
So wait, are we the bad guys?
No, we're technically the good guys.
So we're the good guys by going and ending humanity.
Oh no, like the dark dragon, the thing that we're shooting. Yeah, that's the one. If it gets to the tower, it's going to wipe out humanity, and we're trying to stop it. Okay,
well, the game should do a good job of explaining, because there's two dragons, but they just keep saying the dragon or whatever. I don't know, maybe I missed it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, again, this is kind of an unspoken element of, like, the plot, is just the fact that the Empire wants to capture both the Dark Dragon and our dragon, because, like, these things are basically super weapons, and the Empire wants more and more powerful guns.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, let's just capture both of them and enslave them and make them our guns.
Okay, well that's where I kind of go with the whole, like, a remake like this could really take advantage of being a remake and actually explaining the stuff in-game better, especially if the original explanations were done through, like, a manual.
Honestly, I'm more surprised that they didn't take the effort to, like, okay, you explained all this shit in later games. Like, that lore exists now. Put it in this game. Put it in the remake.
Yeah.
Tell me about all this bullshit.
Yeah. Like, for me, I think one of the gold standards of, like, a true remake thing is, honestly, like, Metroid Zero Mission. It's such an interesting take and expansion on the original game, while still being relatively faithful to the original game, but doing a lot more and explaining more clearly what an NES game at the time could not. So, like, my opinions are often, like, my opinion of remakes are colored by, like, efforts like that, for example.
And, like I said, basically, like, this is just it is the game just made prettier, and, like, again, I'm trying to, just struggling to, like, sort of, like, explain it and just, like, come to terms with it myself, but basically, like, I think the team behind it, like, they had, like, sort of the noble but ultimately, like, misguided effort to just, like, do a one-to-one remake of it, but it's, again, like, a one-to-one remake of a game that is now most definitely at least 20 years past its time.
Yeah.
And like Artix was saying, like and especially like a game with that came from a series that became so much more and had a lot more depth that you could have put into it after the fact now. Whereas again, like the studio behind it was just so hyper focused on just like giving people like just again like Panzer Dragoon but prettier, that they kind of either didn't stop to consider or they didn't want to consider the options of, okay, like, can we actually like just expand on this?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, yeah, it's kind of a missed opportunity, but at the same time, they were probably also thinking that, like, you know, the people who would actually want to play this game, like...
already know they're not going to want something.
Yeah, they are going to want Panzer Dragoon, but prettier, and doing anything to alter that would just trigger fanboy rage, so it's like, you know, why step on that landmine if you could avoid it?
I mean, I feel like that would be pretty... But even that would be easy to avoid. Like, all you'd have to do is put, like, a toggle in the menu to be like, you know, skip additional cutscenes, or something like that. I don't know. Like I said, there's no getting around the fact that the game is extraordinarily simple, but, like, yeah, like the least they could have done with the fact that all this lore that already exists is put it in the game and told me what was going on.
Yeah, like, the easiest thing they could do is just, like, give me some story cutscenes, or some, like, literal text cutscenes. Give me something, some reason for what I'm doing.
Because, you know, like, even, like, Team Andromeda and Sega themselves ultimately did that with games like Panzer Dragoon Orta. Like every couple of levels, like, Orta would just, like, you know, put the pause button on and, like, just have actual cutscenes with, like, people showing up and talking and explaining things. Like, you know, it was still, like, this kind of very, like, minimalist, okay, like, you know, we're not going to explain too much stuff for you, but still, you got the sense of, like, there was an actual story that was progressing here, and, like, by the time it was all over, you understood what happened. But anyways, here's the, oh god, yeah, well, not as badly, ultimately, as I probably could have been getting owned by this thing, but, you know...
Yeah.
It's, you know, they did a pretty decent job of just, like, upgrading, like, you know, like, just sort of selling the terror of the fact that, like, okay, like, this evil dragon has now become a gigantic, even eviler dragon somehow. And also, yeah, now it's basically a race between me killing this thing and it getting its super laser off, and thankfully I won.
Hits you with a whole bunch of stuff at the beginning of the fight, and then just kind of flounders for the rest of it.
Pretty much.
Now, who is this mysterious man piloting the weird dragon?
It's literally a robot.
Cool.
I'm not making that up, yeah.
Well, fine. But, cool.
Like,
game doesn't tell me anything.
Yep,
I didn't even know this was an evil dragon until you told me about 2 minutes ago. Like, oh, okay. That's, yeah. Alright.
Yeah, so that would have been the part if we were playing on hard mode, where the second half of that fight begins, but because we're on normal, yeah, no, that's the end of the game.
Pretty sure I described this as, when I played this and I was talking to Crow, I'm pretty sure I described this as being, like, a giant fever dream? Because, you know, I didn't have any of that context, so I was just like, what the fuck am I even looking at most of the time?
What am I doing and why?
And meanwhile, I'm trying to explain things to him over Discord as succinctly as I can, and he's going like, what the fuck? What? Like, this cutscene here, like, again, like, even when I was playing this, like, as a kid in the original version, I was like, okay, what the fuck happened here? So, basically,
Turok is getting sent back in time.
Yeah, so, like, now that the dragon's here to fulfill its mission, Kyle isn't needed anymore, so he's just like, okay, fuck off, bye, and yeah, the tower explodes.
Kyle explodes.
And oh yeah, and here was the part that I mentioned to Artix that made him just basically go like, what the Christ, seriously? Like, the tower exploding like that, also the shockwave from it goes so far that it also blows up the Imperial capital that we flew through in episode 6 too. So millions of people are dead now. And you don't find that out until Panzer Dragoon Saga.
Is that the next game or 2 games from now?
That's 2 games from now, although Panzer Dragoon Y is technically also a prequel. So, like, in a way, it is the next game, but it's also, like, 2 games from now in release order.
So like, looking at it again, like I said, the disingenuous question at the start. I think this is interesting for knowing what it was, like, at the time it came out. To play it straight as a remake today is kind of a bold move that I don't think totally pays off. Because it... Nice, I like the crab down in that concept art. That's the best part of the game.
Oh my god. I just noticed that now, oh my god.
That's an avatar. Somebody buy that for me. I don't know why. The point is, like, I understand it just doesn't feel like it necessarily pays off in the end because it's so faithful. Like we've been saying throughout the whole thing, there's opportunities here to take this game and even slightly modernize it beyond simply just like the graphics. Like, this is an HD texture pack. It seems. Again, I don't have the context of the original, so I can't say exactly, but
yeah, it's like the animations and like the gameplay is like a little bit like tightened up compared to like how it was on the Saturn, just given like the inherent jank that the Saturn had as like a semi like HD, like on the cusp of rolling over into HD era console. But yeah, no, I think ultimately, yeah, you are 100% right, and that's kind of been the criticism of every review that I've read about the remake has been so far. Like, it hits it all like dead on. Is just like
it's not bad. It's not bad.
It's not a bad game.
It could have been so much more with almost zero effort.
I think a good way to put it is something you said earlier, where the game, the audience of this game, this remake, is primarily going to be the people who played the original. Primarily. And upon seeing this, I feel like that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because it doesn't really feel like it's going to do much to encourage people who have not played the game before to, like, want to and then engage with the rest of it. It's a game that comes out and is like an hour long. Yes, if you play it again on the hard mode, it's going to be more than that, obviously. But, like, there's very little to it. And it's not like the other remakes are... the sequels are as readily available. So you're left with a game standing alone in time that doesn't really say too much on the overall franchise.
Yeah, like, I had obviously never played this game. Like, when I played the remake, it was the first one. Like I said, I paid $6 for it. And I thought that felt about right.
Whereas, like you said, I was like effectively like the target audience for this game, especially in the way that you described it, because like when Fargo like linked this to us in the Discord, like probably like I think
when it was originally announced,
2 years ago. When it was originally announced, I remember
great excitement.
Oh yeah, no, I was over the fucking moon for this thing. Also, was one kid born during the development of the game. But yeah, no, like I said, just as a fan who had played the original and have effectively just gone through and grown up with the series and whatnot, like I said, I was over the moon for the prospects of like what this represented, and especially just for the fact that like, okay, like we're gonna get the original Panzer Dragoon, we're probably gonna get Zwei, and the fucking holy grail of just like getting Saga as like just having Panzer Dragoon Saga with a wider availability to just not just a modern audience, but an audience period, considering like the absolute hell that game went through just trying to like come into existence.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, like the series is finally getting like a second chance. Yeah. And then like I said there, like you said, there's the going through and replaying and just like experiencing it, with like the unvarnished like view of it, and just looking at it objectively, I was going like, I get it, like this could have been more, and like just bringing it back like as is kind of leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, like if I did not know that it was, like I said, if I did not have the assurance that this became something bigger and better, like I would play this and be like, nah, I don't think so.
Like, it's not like we're saying, it's not a bad game. It's just there's not much to it, and the game doesn't do a very good job of explaining in any real way that there is a lot more to it, in fact. So, like I said, it's a game that is very much like made to please the people, the fans who originally played it, but it doesn't really seem like it appeals to anyone who didn't originally play it, just by being so faithful.
And that was ultimately kind of the take that Sally and Travelogue took away from the original game too, so I guess we're nothing if not consistent, and they do say that the definition of insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting different results. Speaking of which, so as of roughly the time of this recording, maybe a little bit before, but anyway, MegaPixel Software has also announced that they're going to be remaking Panzer Dragoon Zwei as well, so...
Well, and that one gets better, then, hey, why not?
Yep. There is literally nowhere to go from here but up, and I mean that in every possible sense.
Maybe this one will actually have, like, some lore in the game.
Yeah.
Well, only one way to find out, I suppose.
I guess so.